10 Huh, YouTube, it's your boy Major Spectre here, back to bring you another video. And today we have a little something special. There is a league going on that I'm a part of, called the Pokemon Speedrunning League. It is taking place in the Pokemon Speedrunning Discord, with various people from that community and various people that actually speedrun. I myself am going to start getting into speedrunning once I get a better computer. But I've joined on long enough. As you can see on your screen, I am primarily responsible for the power rankings of this league. And as it says on your screen, it is brought to you by myself and other people. So first, I'm going to introduce someone who is also a coach in this league with me, and that is Battle Dolphin, coach of the Jimboombin Jigglypuff.
What's up, guys? Battle Dolphin. Glad to be here.
And like I said, in PMs, I just want to thank you for helping me do this, because it's good to have another set of opinions so that things aren't super biased, let's say.
Yeah. No problem. I've never done this kind of analysis before, so yeah, should be good.
Alright, and we are also joined by a good friend of ours you've seen on the channel a couple of times. I've been on his channel a couple of times. It is PokeCrafter999.
What's good? You guys, I don't need to plug. Y'all already seen me before.
And then another one of our friends that you've seen on the channel a lot less frequently. It is Leo, who is, you might know as coach of the Chicago Infernates, or LA Infernates.
Yeah, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Competitive Gamers here.
So yeah, like I said, due to some conflictions, we weren't able to get the post-draft video done on time, so we're just gonna mash week 0 / post-draft and week 1 together. We'll be starting from the bottom, working our way up. I'm gonna be sitting back letting these guys talk about stuff, just because it's my channel and I kind of feel like a douche if I'm doing all the talking. So whoever wants to start off with number 14 for the post-draft.
Alright, well in 14th we have Amova and the Wolverhampton Waddlers. Their team is really cool, but unfortunately they drafted Monobug, and while it's probably the best Monobug you can get in this kind of format, it's still Monobug. Lots of common weaknesses. It's specifically like Stealth Rock and very common types in Fire and Rock, and yeah.
So on to number 13. Who wants to do number 13?
I guess I got it. Number 13 is Flavortown. Bunch of weaknesses here. Main one's being fighting and fire. They're forcing a bunch of underwhelming Pokemon. They brought each week to counter this fact, which is always an issue, because yeah, if you don't have reliable Pokemon filling slots, then yeah. Self-explanatory.
On to number 12, Leo.
I will be doing number 12, the Cryogonals. I feel like they have an overall good team, but they're lacking some good speed. They have an alright Mega. I feel like they could make it far, but like other than that, I feel like they have too much common weaknesses, such as ground, fighting, and yeah. Overall, a solid team, but not the best.
And number 11.
Alright, number 11 we have the New England Braviary. They have a bunch of really good threatening mons by themselves, but their synergy isn't really too good. They have a good Mega, they have good... Well, yeah, as I said, all the mons are phenomenal, really, but their synergy is lackluster. They have lots of common weaknesses because of it. I think they actually have the most weaknesses in general across all of the teams, which is never a good thing as well. And yeah.
And on to number 10.
I guess I got it. Some of the best clerics on this team. That being said, lacks offensive pressure and has very low type coverage. What the hell? This is best bet is to play everyone's least favorite their playstyle stall, which nobody likes playing a stall. So yeah, fun. So yeah, have fun. He's gonna have fun not being hated here because stall.
And that being
And
said, that was done before some trades were made, specifically one that kind of changed the entire outlook on that, but we'll get into that when we get into the actual weeks. So on to number 9.
I'll be doing the World Breloons. They overall have a great team. I like their electric type, which is Coco, one of the fastest mon. They do have a sweeper with Lightning with belly drum. Other than that, I feel like it's an overall decent team. I'm surprised of their Mega Bombers was hardly used in draft format, but other than that, solid, great team, and fast and Pokemons.
Alright, and on to number 8.
Yeah, we have the Bludgeoners. They have hard rain, which is obviously really threatening all the time.
Although semi-hated by some people.
Yeah. Yeah, they have some questionable picks in there, which if they made trades, they could really improve on that. But they did make those trades, but it was post week 1. So in the meantime, they're stuck at 8th. Yeah, rain's always really good.
Agreed. And on to number 7.
Alright, number 7, we got the Pacific Lodge Wailords. Overall, fairly solid team. It's lacking hazard control, which is an issue for Spike Stack, Webs, etc. Except for Skarmory. You lack in priority, so setup sweepers have... So, like, Spike Stack and post setup sweeper kind of just reigns and strain against this team. At the end of the day, it lacks synergy and has a severe weakness to rocks. And with only one defogger / spinner, that's kind of an issue.
Definitely, especially in league format. And on to number 6.
Yeah.
I will be doing the Herans. They overall have a great team. I like their core with Hydreigon, Mamo, and Mega Beedrill. I feel like that's a good core overall draft format. Mega Beedrill is actually a really fast offensive sweeper who could destroy mons. It has bulk. It has rocker. It has a rapid spinner with fortress. Overall, I feel like this team is lacking the defogger / removal of rocks, because if he doesn't bring the fortress, then he has no way to remove rocks. Other than that, I think this team is a solid team and could win it all.
Fair enough. On to number 5.
So for number 5, we have the Kentucky Fried Corn, or KFC, number 1 on the team name power rankings, by the way. The KFC have some of the best defensive core in the game. They have Melodic, Umbreon, Amoonguss, and Togekiss with Mega Aggron and Lantern. That is extremely threatening. They cover most types there as well. And they have some of the most threatening Tier 1 offensive Pokemon in Kyurem, Black, and Mimikyu. So yeah, they're set to do really well with those mons. The only real issue is hazards. They don't have very many hazards. They only have Aggron as their only Stealth Rocker, where it is reliable, but very predictable as well. And their defoggers aren't the most reliable. It's Sigilith and Togekiss. While Togekiss is really good, sometimes you just don't want to lose that move slot doing that. And Sigilith doesn't usually defog, so yeah.
Yes.
And on to number 4.
Alright, we got Blackpool Blastoise, one of the more random teams. Biggest issue is the glaring weakness to poison type moves, more specifically poison stab, because things like HP poison aren't too much of an issue, but once certain mons go down, definitely could be an issue. Also, you lack good hazard removal. Some of your Pokemon on your team are there to fill the slot, but they can't be really realistically be played as some of your main stars.
Makes a lot of sense. On to number 3. Pardon me.
I would be doing the Deerlings as well. They're number 3 because I feel like they have an overall standard good core, but they're lacking a rocker, like a rapid spinner or defogger, which the only thing to get rid of it, which would be Mega Diancie. But other than that, I feel like this team is well balanced, but it has a huge weakness to ground type. That's what the problem is about this team.
And then on to number 2.
So for number 2, we have the Oakland Adaptability with Major's team here. It's really, really phenomenal. I can't talk anyway. They have another really, really good defensive core in Snorlax, Doublade, Mega Venusaur, and Celesteela. They have also really good threatening offensive Pokemon with Infernape and Garchomp. However, they don't have the most reliable of hazard clearers, Armaldo and Blastoise. Not the best Pokemon. And also their Stealth Rockers are primarily on the offensive Pokemon such as Garchomp and Infernape. But other than that, this team is really solid. Should go far.
And
Alright.
in rounding out the week 0/post draft, is number 1. Pokey, you can take this one away.
We got Parasite, Gremlin. Not the most defensive team. Definitely has the best defensive core out of everyone. Top of the list in terms of synergy and late game closing potential. Biggest issue it lacks is Clerics, which can always be an issue, but if played correctly, it should be fine for him. Definitely a scary team for coaches to build for. Definitely interesting to see how things go throughout the season.
Yeah, agreed. So that is post-draft real quick, running through in descending order this time. Paris Saint-Germain, Oakland Adaptability, Caledonia Deerling, Blackpool Blastoise, Kentucky Fried Crawdon, Huntsville Heathrand, Pacific Log Wailords, the Bludgeoners, the Broward Breloom, the Jim Boomben Jigglypuff, the New England Braviary, the Camden Cryogonals, the Flavortown Flygons, and the Wolverhampton Waddlers. And there's not really much to this. It's just based on overall team synergy and, like stats, etc. Another thing that I want to mention that that wasn't mentioned when it came across my team is in the stats. Oakland, which, like I said, my team, we actually have the least amount of weaknesses and are tied with, I think, like 3 or 4 teams with the most amount of resistances, which is really, really good. It's gonna be really hard for someone to, super easier than other teams to super effective hit me. And then likewise, I forget who it was, but you did mention someone earlier has the most amount of weaknesses, which is a really bad thing. And then the Bludgeoners, they made some patches, and their Rain team had these patches happened before week 1. The Bludgeoners would probably be up in about 6th place. But, what are you gonna do? So anyways, we'll move on to week 1, and we will start with we will work our way from the bottom and work our way up, and then we will talk about as we get to each team that until we run out of matches, we will kind of go over the core basics of what happened in each match. So starting at the very bottom, Leo, if you would, I believe. Yes, Leo, because Pokey had.
I ended the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So number 14, the Wailords. The Wailords preparation for this battle was okay. A beta, we didn't get to see half of it, but the real problem with this team battle was allowing the Raikou to set up. That was the biggest problem about this team. If you let the Raikou set up, Raikou could just sweep his team entirely. Just looking at the matchup. Then following to go into the Chandelure earlier, like I feel like he should have brought the Chandelure in my perspective, because I feel like the Chandelure does help his team handle the Chandelure, or handle the Raikou, my bad, which let him rip through this team. Hopefully, the Warlords could bounce back quick, win some wins for he could make it to playoffs. My bad about that.
Yeah, it is worth noting that his opponent, we didn't go over the much of the rosters, but his opponent was, in fact, the person who was number 1 in Huntsville Heatran, as you could, probably expect. That was the first 6-0 match of the season, was right there, week 1. I think it was the second or third match of the week. It not really matter the timeline, just know that had a little bit more smarter plays been made, they would not have gotten 6-0'd. Moving on to number 13.
Number 13, we have the Flavortown Flygons. This battle was really tough for them. They weren't really expecting all of the common draft format moves, such as HP Ice, for their Landorus. And, turn 1, losing such a big threat like Landorus is really a big deal. They could have maybe improved the score a bit. It was a 4-0, by the way. They lost 4-0. They could have made it a little bit closer if they brought Komoro to the battle, as Komoro does reasonably well against their opponent. But yeah, it didn't happen, so the team kind of fell apart.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that their opponent was myself. Like he said, brought the HP Ice on the Celesteela, predicting a Lando lead, because Lando lead is fairly common. People typically want to get the rocks up, so I read that correctly, got rid of the biggest threat on his team that he brought, and then later in the match, I brought in Malamar to Superpower, and had he not Thunderwaved the Malamar, I would have swept the remainder of his team. With Malamar. Malamar would have gotten 5 kills. Instead, Malamar only got, I think, 3?
3. Yeah, it was 3.
Yeah, Malamar only got 2 or 3. I can't remember the exact number.
No, it was 3 or 4.
And then,
it was definitely 3 or more.
And then, like he said, the match ended up 4-0. So, next is number 12.
Alright. Number 12 is Blackpool Blastoise. This was
No.
What?
That
No.
is no.
Oh, wait, I'm looking at my own. I'm stupid. It's right here. It's not Blackpool. It is, in fact... Alright, where the hell is this? Alright. Number 12 is Waddlers. I was gonna say that seems too low. Waddlers was a close match. Mobo was never actually out of the match. He made some nice predictions late game. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite break Jigglypuff's core. Definitely one of the most interesting matches this week.
Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit more about that Dolphin, because I know that you faced him week 1.
It was my match. Yeah, he prepped really well. Defensive Sizzle was definitely a good bring. I wasn't super prepared for it. But unfortunately, Monobug is still Monobug. You can just kind of click super effective moves and do really well. Yeah, it was really quite caught off guard by some of the interesting stuff that I like to run.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Had he not been Monobug, he probably would have been further up the ranking, but
absolutely.
That's something you gotta deal with.
He's a really good player, don't get me wrong, but Monobug is unfortunately not super good in draft format.
Monobug is Monobug. That's where that ends.
Weak to rocks is its biggest issue.
Yeah. But that being said, he does have 4 sticky web setters, so Ouch. Next, we move on to number 11, Leo, if you will. Leo? Hello?
Leo's dead.
Leo has...
Oh, my bad. My bad. My throat was hurting me. I want to go do something. I'll be doing the New England Braveries. The Braveries played alright in this match. However, this team lacked the offensive presence to take out Toxic Pegs. After Salamence and Azov went down in this battle, I feel like he had pretty much nothing to beat Toxic Pegs, and his pretty much just gone and couldn't take out his walls. General Clutch Tech really made his team struggle. It was a close match, but I feel like the Braveries made a good predictions in late game, but however, it never turned out how he planned it. I'm sorry, Braveries, but yeah.
Yes, and it is something worth noting that we did note in our post-draft analysis that Toxapex was key for that team. Once, like we said, once the Toxapex went down, the team gets really kind of bullied by things like fire type coverage and poison type coverage. So we did note that, just to kind of piggyback off of what he said, but definitely not a bad match. Probably one of the better matches of the week. So that's all we're gonna have to say on them. Good luck to them in the following weeks. Next we have number 10. Dolphin, if you would.
Oh, sorry. Next we have number 10 is the Broad Balloons. We thought long and hard about this placement because this team and the next couple of teams, they both played really, really well. And the matches were really close, but they didn't quite clutch it out. In this one, the Balloons kind of failed to break the opponent's team with Coco and Halucha until the end game. And his opponent really made it hard for him, don't get me wrong, with threats such as Crocodile to deal with Coco and stuff. And he successfully broke those down, but it was too little too late. It was, at the end, Coco didn't have enough HP to be able to wild charge through the opponent's team.
And that's a really big risk that you run when you're running physical Coco. Not to mention the fact that it doesn't have physical fairy type move. And so you're kind of gimping yourself a little bit in that case as well. And personally, I don't like recoil moves for the most part, unless it's on, let's say, a flying type like Staraptor, or something with Rockhead. And that's just me personally. But I understand why he brought physical Coco. It hits a lot harder than special Coco. So yeah, all that's on that. Next, we move on to number 9, Pokey.
Alright, this time it's Blackpool Blast. I feel like, I think it was turn 1 or turn 2, he made a very good early play, bringing his AV seeing call after it, and then pursuing to go ahead and do about half health to that. It's very well with T-Spikes and Rocks. There was a couple issues I saw with this team. He sacked Nidoking, damaging the Tangrowth, which was kind of an issue considering it's just a regenerator, so once it's swapped out, it gets third health back. After the switcheroo from the Klefki, the band tricked onto his Nidoqueen. He proceeded to then click Flamethrower after he killed the Klefki on the Heatran that was brought in after the Klefki died, giving it the Flash Fire boost, wasting an extra turn when switching was a much better play, as Heatran managed to get off the sub and just put just break a sub when if he hadn't megaed, he wouldn't have gotten Earth powered and lost his Zard there. At the end, he could have played Suicune slightly better, to rely more on crit with the Mega Scissor, than to just flat out lose the game. And I can't stress this enough. He messed up with team building. He didn't bring Scald on Suicune. He ran Kurokun, but he ran Ice Beam over Scald. I understand there was a Tangrowth, and I understand there was a Whimsicott on the enemy team. But if you're at +6, neither of those are above base 75 special defense. They're both dropping to 1 or 2 of those. And Ice Beam made it so he got walled by Mega Scizor, and so he lost that game. It's a smallish... It's the smallest issues in team building can be the biggest just downsides in games. But he otherwise he had some decent ideas in terms of prep. I understand why he brought Ice Beam, but it wasn't executed correctly. And he brought it down to 1 or 2. He was playing well the whole game. Just that small issue ended up screwing him over in the end.
Yep, and that's really what matters. I know that you guys didn't really get all of what Pokey was saying, but for the most part, he was, going over some of the issues that were in team build. It is worth noting that before some misplays happened, and before we found out that the Suicune was walled by the Mega Scizor, he did have a 5-2 advantage. The Mega Scizor quite literally, brought the game back for the Paris Saint-Germain, who, in all intents and purposes, was not prepared for a lot of the things that Blackpool brought, and Blackpool would have easily probably won with a 3-0 victory. Or possibly even 4-5-0. It just, like he said, the Ice Beam instead of the Scald was not necessarily the smartest thing to do. So, anyways, we're going to move on to number 8 while Pokey fixes his robot issues. Sorry, I apologize. Discord is acting up a bit.
I'm gonna be fixing that, but I'll try.
Leo, would you like to move on to number 8?
Yes, I'm so glad I got number 8 because I love this battle. This battle was one of the most interesting battle because it came down to over a wire between Afini and Fini getting 2 kills on the Mega Aggron, and I forgot the last one. His team, the Kentucky Fried Crawdon's team, very well. Also his opponent. It didn't really work out how he brought the offensive power, but both teams, it was like pretty much the battle between Boke versus Boke, and sucks to the Crawdons that they didn't get the dub. They didn't clutch up at the end. Sorry about that, but they did lose by 1-0. Doesn't mean that they're out of playoffs or anything. This just means that they're a really good team and they're a team to be watched out for.
Alright, and a little... I swear we didn't plan this, but Dolphin, you want to talk about your ranking and your match?
Yeah, so I'm number 7. I talked about this a bit before, but, against Mono Bug, it's kind of a bit tough for Mono Bug to be able to break other draft teams, but he's a splendid player. But yeah, there's just problems with that. It was a really close match. Both of us played really well to our matchups, and clearly put lots of thought into our preparation. There's not much else to say.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. A good result, like I said, before week 1, and after we did the post-draft analysis, you did make a change, which probably realistically would have moved you up the order a little bit. Your team is less, I mean, it's still bulky, but it's less pure bulk. You did lose...
I grabbed another threat.
Yeah, you did lose a cleric, but you traded a cleric for a threat. You already have the best cleric in the game, being Mega Audino, so you didn't really need that Pokemon anyways. And you just, with that trade, you were able to get a win that you probably wouldn't have gotten without that trade. So yeah, good call on your end. We talked a little bit about this when we did post-draft, about you needing just a tad more offense, and you did exactly that. So, congrats to you. And we are going to move on to number 6, Pokey. Hopefully your net doesn't die.
Number 6 was quite the talk for us. Number 6 through like 4 was hard for us to decide on, but number 6 ended up being Camden Cryogonals. Very interesting. The Cleveland I found was just overall very good. I think the set was interesting. He ran Shift Gear and Trick Row, which helped him in the end kill Mentz, and it got on Azelf, as the Azelf tried taunted it turn 1 to keep it from shift gearing, ended up dying to the gear grind while it was flame throwing it. Overall, I think he brought 4 poison types in a strong ground against a team with a Ditto and an Azelf and a Mentz deck at Earthquake, but with a combination of some misplays from his opponent, sacrificing the Azelf and the Mentz too early to things probably shouldn't have died to, as well as playing his Zygarde 50 very well. It overall came down. It was a good game, but it ended up coming with Camden on top. And yeah,
a little questionable prep, but it worked out in the end, and that's what mattered. Opponent made a few misplays, a few questionable plays, and that was their downfall. Ultimately a dub is a dub, and that's what you gotta look at. So next, we'll move on to Mr. Rain Team himself at number 5. Leo, if you want to take this away.
So I did do the Crawdon, which was their opponent, Bludge. Yes, talking about Rain, I feel like Rain was actually a good core to bring against this guy. What's it called? His Feeny with Mega Swampert with the Rain up does a lot. Some unfortunate Paras procs on his Latias made the match longer and closer, which it shouldn't have been, honestly. I feel like with the Latias on Para, it probably could have been a fast sweep, but honestly, it's just the game that we play. He did prep really well. His opponent did prep really well too. But it came down to the Feeny, like I said, getting the last 2 kills on the Mega Aggron, and yeah.
Yeah, ultimately, this was only a 1-0, but he played incredibly well with Rain, and just the way cards fell, he was able to essentially rip away a victory that he probably should not have had. I'm not saying that he prepped terribly or he prepped, that he prepped or played badly. He did bring Outrage on the Mega Pert, which was a really good bring and read on him. It allowed him to get some kills that Swampert wouldn't have normally gotten. So that was good on him, and ultimately I think that was probably the big thing that led to his victory, was the Outrage on the Mega Swampert. So good on him. Dolphin, if you want to go ahead and pull us up to number 4.
Yes, so number 4 we have PSG, the Paris Saint-Germain. He played really well. There was a bit of questionable prep. He had nothing for Crocoon, but as we said earlier, this Crocoon was running Ice Beam, not Scald, which let him get back into the match and essentially take it cleanly with Mega Scizor, which usually shouldn't happen against Suicune, but he played to his advantages. He saw that he couldn't touch it and set up.
Yep, and that's ultimately what that match came down to. Crocoon didn't have the Scald, and, if you let a Mega Scizor set up and you don't have an answer for it, it just kind of wins. It's very, very reminiscent of the late game sweeping potential that the Mega Pinsir has. So, like we said, a dub is a dub. Doesn't matter how that happens. Like we said earlier, it was 5-2 in favor of Blackpool, and ultimately it was a comeback victory that shouldn't have happened. So, good on him. Results are results. So up to number 3, Pokey. Hopefully we get less robot and more of you.
Alright, number 3 is Caledonia Deerling. I didn't agree with this thing at first, this placement at first, but as I eventually talked into it, it was a close match. Both players had prepped well, and they both played very well. With that being said, Garf worked around the threats of Coco and Halucha, which tore his team apart on paper. Proper building, proper play helped them build around that, and once the Coco and Halucha started going, it was a little too late, as we said earlier, and Garf took his victory.
Yeah,
Not
and
much more to say there.
yeah, not like I said, it probably shouldn't have won that match on paper, but ultimately
Prep and execute and
execution.
And how you execution, yes, English, is overall what wins you games. It's not what's on paper; it's how you play it.
Yeah, and so Leo, why don't you go ahead and pull us up to number 2?
Okay, I'm so glad I'm doing this one because I'm doing Major to Oakland. To be honest, I knew Malamart was gonna come because that mon once it's set up, it's pretty much it's a 6-0 sweep. He could have 6-0 sweeped him, but just how their leads were. I feel like how Dolphins said that the Flygon should have brought Kamo. I feel like the Kamo does do good against Major's team. Like, especially the special Kamo with Flamethrower Autotomize. But other than that, Major did play well. It sucks that it couldn't been like a 5-0 or a Malamar sweep at the end because of Para. But that's just the game how we play. Major did get the 4-0, so he should be glad with that. I would be glad with that, but other than that,
Yeah,
good game, Major.
And I am very happy. Had he brought the Kamo, I would have gotten +1. Yes, he would have outspeed. I was AV, so he wouldn't have killed me. I would have gone for Psycho Cut. Kamo would have died. That is something to keep in mind. But yes, the Kamo would have definitely closed the gap. Would have definitely, even without the T-Wave, would have stopped the Malamar sweep pretty much dead in its tracks. So that's unfortunate on his end, but I am happy. Like I said, the pair really sucked because I wanted my boy Malamar to get 5 kills, but it'll be all right. An interesting story for week 2. Actually, your number 2 and your number 3 are actually facing one another, so that is definitely going to be the match to watch next week. Hype. All right, Dolphin. Let us close this out with you. Give us our number 1.
Number 1, Huntsville Heatran. I don't think anyone was really going to question this when we saw the results of their match. 6-0, clean. Subcommand Raikou put in hella work. Pretty much destroyed his whole team. Even if I know we were talking about he didn't bring in the Chandelure to revenge kill earlier, but with enough boosts, I'm not even sure the Chandelure would have knocked it out. Granted, at that point it was at like half health, but yeah.
I think one more boost and it would have lived. So
yeah, I think it needed definitely one more boost to live. That being said, if he was Scarf Shandy, yeah,
if he had
if Raikou had a bit more health, it probably wouldn't have even stopped the sweep.
Especially if it was Scarf Shandy, like if he went for another Calm Mind at that point, and it hadn't died, and it was Scarf Shandy, which is pretty much everyone's running Scarf Shandy, then it at least 2 kills because it's faster. So that is something to keep in mind. It's just how the card falls sometimes. I think it's kind of reminiscent of the first 6-0 in GBA. Probably shouldn't have happened. Still happened, but well, at least this season's GBA, not prior seasons. But if you know that league, you probably know this league if you're clicking on that video. What am I talking about? But yeah, I'm once again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys out there for clicking on this video. If you are interested, if you do and did enjoy this video and my content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. All that lovey-dovey bullshit that us YouTubers love and enjoy. And once again, I want to thank Dolphin, Leo, and Pokey for helping me do this out. It definitely is kind of too much work to do on my own.
I spent an hour and only got 4 things done earlier, so it was fun.
I'm glad we could talk Caledonia up to number 3 from you, because they definitely deserve to be there. I'm also, before we close up the video, I'm super scared. I do not want to face their team. Their team is so offensive. It's scary. It's so just, no, stop. Regardless of how this week plays out, whichever one of us wins will probably be jumping up to number 1, because of who we beat. You know, that's kind of how standings work, regardless of if someone gets a 6-0 below us, or if someone gets like a 6-0 or a 5-0 above us. Or I mean, there's only Roush above us, but yeah, that's just how it works. So once again, thank you guys for helping me do this, and we will see you guys next week.
YouTube.com/PokerArthur999.
God damn it. Get your shameless plugs out of here. So,
Go
we're done
subscribe at
bullshitting.
Competitive Gamers.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.